While I may have moved on to PlayStation 1 games to review, I've decided to make an exception for my friend OJ Boy 1. So here it is, my Donkey Kong Country review, just for old time's sake. Hello, I'm the Greasy Gaming #1 source for #2 games, and I'm going to be reviewing one of the best platformers I know.
Stand your ground and fight. You know that our cause is right. We are the ones whose hope is gone. Hold and stand fast. Stand and do your best. Stand and face your test. Then till you fall.
Donkey Kong Country, without a doubt, was one of the most successful video games to be produced at the time. Its gameplay was simple but really required you to concentrate at times. Its soundtrack was one of the best to be produced due to appropriateness, and its clarity and the graphics are simply the best I have seen on the SNES. Donkey Kong Country was developed by Rare and published by Nintendo in late November 1994. You know, when they weren't milking the Mario cash cow over and over. It was a worrying time for Nintendo as the PlayStation was just around the corner and they'd seen its 3D capabilities. But in a way, there was no need to worry. I mean, did you see how much crap they had on that console? I'm not joking, the PlayStation didn't start off too well, and games like Crash Bandicoot only redeemed it slightly early on. But anyway, on to DKC. We get to play as our favourite ape character Donkey Kong, who I think needs no introduction. But I could tell you something you didn't know. The game was so good that it even made a TV show. Indeed, Donkey Kong had a TV show in France and Canada based on the characters in the second game, with a whole new location. Perhaps this was the inspiration for DK64, as the show was produced in 1996. However, it ended not long after being aired in the US in the year 2000. Anyway, onto the game. In terms of story, there really is none. Donkey Kong's banana hoard has gone missing and must retrieve it throughout the game. He's quick to realise that the bastard Kremlings have nabbed his nanas, and it's time to go on a quest to find him. While the plot is pretty basic, it's okay to say the least. I mean, who cares about the plot when you're gonna mash and mangle crocodiles, beavers and wasps? I mean, you get to ride on a minecart for cranky's sakes. And you heard me correctly, this game requires more than running and jumping, and I'll get round to the other stuff soon. First, let's have a look at the basic stuff. Players will take control of Donkey Kong or Diddy Kong, his nephew, I think. Both characters have different traits but control in a very similar manner. For example, DK Senior is stronger and can roll through heavier enemies, but he's not as nimble and quick as DK Junior, who makes for an excellent sprinter. Both characters have the same jump heights and jog speed, but there's no really unfair advantages. It's just who you prefer to play. Throughout the game, you'll collect bananas dotted around the levels, some in obvious places, others in harder ones. If you don't collect them all, it doesn't really matter. I mean, no one's gonna tell you off. What do you mean you didn't collect the bananas? No! Anyway, along the way you'll need to collect letters that spell Kong. By doing this you'll be entitled to a bonus round where you get to play as an animal, collecting tokens of that animal. For every 100 you get an extra life. Pretty cool, huh? You can get extra lives in the form of balloons with Donkey Kong's face on them by popping them. And by collecting 100 bananas in the map, you get an extra life. If there's one problem that I have with that, it's the easiness of getting extra lives. It's no lie that you'll lose more than you gain, but it doesn't take that long to get the first extra life balloon in the first level, and bananas are so frequently found that there's no shortage of them. And thankfully this game is a lot more forgiving than Rayman. If you died once, you'd lose all those pearl thingies and you need to collect 100 to get an extra life. What a load of arse. Anyway, it's time for the different challenges that await. The entire game is a side-scroller and sometimes it requires exploration and other times it doesn't. For the most part you'll be walking through on foot, defeating the very few enemies that await. You'll be in jungles, desert plains and snowy areas a lot, so get used to them. Players are expected to travel in minecarts, swim with infinite air and run away from larger enemies, which is all pretty dandy. You can even ride animals in most levels, varying from rhinos to swordfish, camels to something else. Damn straight! Each level will have its own challenges, and I'm not just talking about pitfalls. And I say that because pitfalls are pretty bloody obvious. They're avoidable, but the game will find any way to kill you. By this I mean, you'll have to leap into barrels that blast you across the map at any moment, swinging vines, and every hazard under the sun to kill you. Hell, even the ground wants you dead. Depending on the terrain, you might not be able to maneuver as well. For example, the ice levels. The floors are covered in ice, making you drift and slide, destroying opportunities to jump over pitfalls and such. So expect to die to this a lot. While this may look very easy, it can be the death of you nearly every minute. And if you don't give it your all, expect to die a lot. And I mean, a lot. In my opinion, the bosses are pathetic. I mean, don't get me wrong, they have both challenge and fun, but Rare could have done a much better job. I mean, beavers? Vultures? I mean, you even fight a barrel later on. What a crock of shit.
I mean, even I did a better job with the Super Saiyan 1000 in my Doom review.
In saying that, what else can you do? There's not a great deal of enemies, and I suppose they didn't want to stray from the enemies that already existed. I mean, it's like picking on Muppet Race Mania for having too many Muppets. That's not fair, so I'm sorry, Donkey Kong. Anyway, it's time to move on to the graphics and soundtrack, and my, are they amazing. It was a hard leap for many games to go from 2D to 3D. This is one fine example of how capable Rare are of making a good game, and how dedicated they are to create a legend. It's like how Saruman made the Urukai out of poop. Now that is literally some impressive shit. So what I'm trying to say is that the graphics for their time are amazing and really put the Super in Super Nintendo. Indeed, they're gorgeous and they've aged really well, faring better than most platformers. I mean, even games like Sniper Elite V2 are having a tough time being as presentable as this. I also have to note that once Rare left the Donkey Kong games, everything went to hell in the visuals department. Everything he does now is associated with jungles. Where's all the factories, the oceans, the caverns and the tundras? At least Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts had a crack at doing something different. DK Country also has a defining soundtrack that shouldn't go unheard. There's a few tracks in this review that we're playing in the background, and you'll find them all over the internet to buy or listen to. A great job by Robin Beanland, Eveline Fisher, and David Wise, but I still want Bob and Barn. Maybe not so much. In all, this game is freaking amazing! There's few games on these consoles that impress me, but this has to be one that I've loved since I owned the SNES. If you liked Banjo-Kazooie, Super Mario World, Tombi, and future DK titles, then I 100% guarantee that you will love this game.
Now, I know this review has been pretty short, and my only hope is that I have informed you about this game more than other internet reviewers. So until the next time, hello, I'm the Greasy Game, your #1 source for #2 games, and, well, just stay safe. Ta-ta for now.